Thank you. Yeah, some people want to put that thing in to be easier. Anything else? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I believe Liberians across the length and breadth of our country are alarmed with the recent wave of murders across our country. Over the past 1 week, I've seen in the media stories of women who have been killed especially. And I want to lend my voice to this situation because I think it is important. The importance is the fact that women are feeling more insecure than ever before in our history. I'd like to call upon the security sector to please put in place a regime that will enable our people to remain safe. The situation involves instances where women's private parts have been cut off, stories of young people who were taken into specific locations, others allegedly were being used for ritual purposes, and some bodies that were found right in the vicinity of Monrovia, thrown into different places. This is very alarming, and I think it calls for those of us who are national leaders to add our voice in an attempt to call upon our security forces to begin to be more vigilant, to find out why the alarming wave of murders are taking place, what's happening, how can this be brought to an end. I'd like to call upon our religious communities that we begin to pray in earnest about the security situation that is being perpetrated by some persons in a situation like this. We all need to add our voices. Community leaders need to begin to be a little bit more vigilant about those who are coming and going into their communities. The motorcyclists that are moving people around need to be more careful about who they are carrying back and forth and where they are carrying them. The keke riders also need to be more vigilant in protecting our people. A person who gets on a keke to go from point A to point B assumes that keke is safe, that when they get in that keke and they pay whatever money they should pay, they will reach to their destination unharmed. So all of us must become a little bit more vigilant. If you are involved in these acts of unnecessary murders against our people, I pray whoever is doing it will stop. If they do not do so, I hope that the security forces will quickly find out where this ring is happening and who's responsible for it. We're in the 21st century, and so it's easy to get the information on the international media. Next thing you will hear that Liberia is unsafe to travel. Next thing you will hear that people who want to come to invest in Liberia will not come. So it has long-reaching implications for the peace and security of our country, for the investment climate, and for people who may just want to come and see what is happening in Liberia, what can they do to help. So I think it is such an important series of events that has taken place, And I wanted to add my voice so that everybody is aware that this is an emergency situation. And all of us need to open our eyes a little bit wider so that these people who are perpetrating these heinous acts can be caught.
Thank you. Please introduce yourself and ask the question. Okay.
Thank you. Well, Vice President, my name is Henry Kamo, and I work for Frontish. And I know there are some emotion attached to what you have said. For some of our viewers are saying you are very low, so they need to play amplify your voice. So my question is, regardless of, do you believe that these crimes should be investigated and people who at some points have been alleged are involved should be investigated regardless of who making the allegation and who's being accused?
You know, like, as far as I know, government's responsibility is to provide for the peace and security of its people. That's why you have the army, that's why you have the police, that's why you have the NSA and the different security apparatus across the length and breadth of our country. If this were maybe just one person, then maybe people would say, oh, let's take our time. But it is alarming. Every single morning almost, there is some community calling for police to go and pick up a body from somewhere. So it's becoming commonplace. And in a country like this, something such as what is happening should not be happening. So I believe we should call on all of our security forces to do more. And what is happening is that this has been 3 or 4 months with these alarming instances of murders across our country. Everybody is now concerned. What is happening? This morning there was a body found in across behind the rail like there. So clinic. And the young man who had the video, taking his telephone to video the incident or to record the incidents, we hear people in the background saying this is getting too much. You know, women were crying. How do we even go out at night? How do we ensure that when we go, we'll come back in peace? So it's actually becoming an alarming situation. So I think a little bit more has to be done because people cannot continue to kill people and throw their bodies in other parts of the city and no one can see, no one knows. You know, there was a story I heard the other day of this young man who was picked up somewhere across the bridge and ended up somewhere in Bond County. He said he went to this place where people were actually, you know, doing ritualistic killing. He described the place. In fact, he said on the tape that if people want him to show them where the place is in Bond County, he will carry them there. So I think the police, you know, need to begin to give information to our people so people can be assured that something is happening. Tomorrow morning we'll get up again, there will be some other bodies that will be found. So people are not even taking it serious. Those who are perpetrating this crime think they can go ahead and do anything they want to do and nothing will be done. So I believe the police should be more vigilant, even if we must ask the army to get involved to find out this is serious. Let's find out what's happening and bring it to an end.
Next question.
Vice President, my name is Gokwe Yegai and I work for State Radio. I know sometimes when you invited authorities of the Joint Security on Capitol Hill as part of your deliberation, a couple of issues cited, and one of such is the issue of logistical support. Are we adequately prepared in order to move out and ensure that we remedy these kind of situations in terms of support?
That cannot be an excuse. Those who have taken on the responsibility to protect life and property must do so. There are instances across our neighbors that you will find out that by the time it's like 8 o'clock in the night, there are roadblocks put everywhere. So the citizens know that they're not being harassed, but people are checking for arms, you know, arms that are not registered. People are checking to see who's doing what. And the communities feel a little bit more secured. And what does it take now for you to divide the shifts and decide who will be where at what point in time? But something needs to happen in the city so that those who are perpetuating this crime would know that there is now a heightened sense of security so that these incidents can come down. But if everybody keeps saying we don't have money, what does it take to set up roadblocks and just check everybody coming and going and finding out who's doing what? I think something like that can be done easily Different shifts can be put in. Most of this is happening in Monserrato, in the highly populated areas. So I think if we set up some teams across the country or across the city and make the presence of the police a little bit more visible, maybe the instances will come down. But we can't just keep saying we don't have any money, we don't have money. You don't need money to be assigned to put up a roadblock at night and check and find out what's happening in the city so that the citizens feel a little bit more secure. I don't think this is an issue of money at all.
Or to follow up.
Yes, Madam Vice President, despite some of the evidences where every morning we wake up, we find bodies in places, there are some people, specifically in your government, the city's ruling government, believe that this is a strategy by some people in the opposition to undermine the security of the state. What do you stand on
The
that?
more reason that is the truth for those of us who are in the security forces to become more vigilant. Because if this is a diabolical plan by someone, and it's hard to believe, because even though we are politicians and we are going towards the political process, how can someone kill innocent Liberians because you want to make the country ungovernable? It will be ungovernable for all of us. One person won't be able to live here in peace. So I think this is being done. I don't know how or why, but I believe if we are the sitting government, we must now do more to make sure that whatever is happening will be brought to an end so that our citizens will be free to move across the city as we have been before.
Do we have?
Madam VP, my name is Lincoln G.P. and I'm reporting for the New Dawn newspaper. I wrote a story yesterday in a title, incident in town where a lady was allegedly murdered. She had 6 children, and the death at that after she sent children into a full level of the school. But unfortunately for them, she went out and she didn't return. But to my question, here is it. The situation in the country is alarming. People cannot sit and watch this happening when they are talking about it. If you were to disrupt the peace there in the country, how would you disrupt it? That's one. And number 2, do you support net vision of communities in order to keep up police efforts?
The first thing is I want to say that it is alarming, or else I wouldn't be talking about it. It is alarming. I've gotten many messages from women across Monrovia talking about the alarming situation at Bear. People are worried, and government has to do more, and that's why I'm lending my voice. Just to encourage our security forces to please become more vigilant, begin to walk in the communities. You know, when a police officer is patrolling a community, everybody feels a little bit more secure. If you are in a nightclub and there's a police officer sitting in the club, you know you won't be able to just do anything you feel like doing because you'll be arrested. So just the presence of people walking in the communities will make a whole lot of difference in our situation so that people will not just take advantage of people who are unsuspecting. If you listen to some of the people who have come out of this situation alive, they will tell you they got in taxis or they got on motorbikes and people put something to their nose, maybe it's chloroform or something, I don't know, but it makes them go off. But it's not done in a cover of darkness because most of the places people pick people are where many people are. So how come nobody's looking? So I want to describe it as alarming, and I think we can do a little bit more to bring the temperature down. The second question was, and I know during the war, that became a way of protection, where communities form these groups in the evening. The young people watched over their communities, and I think it helped. I don't want to sit on the radio as vice president and call for any vigilante groups because it may be undermining what the security is able to do. I hope we do not get to that level. Because in the end, they say the laws of nature that we have food, clothing, shelter, security. Everyone is responsible for his or her own. I think more needs to be done. When children are going out, we now need to tell our young children until this situation comes under control, come home before 5 so that you're not out in the dark. If people are out, travel so you get on a motorbike, you don't have a stranger come and sit behind you. You don't know what's happening now. But I believe this is an orchestrated thing being done by some people. And I think if we put our thinking caps, put our boots on the streets, put our police and our security forces, we'll find out what is happening so that this can be brought to an end. And that is what I hope, that the government's responsibility to provide peace and security for its people will become priority number one, so that whoever is doing this, from wherever they are coming from, can actually be arrested.
Yeah, Corporate, my name is Yanti Topa, report for OKFM. Basically, this concern keep coming from the public that in the wake of all of this happening, the government is yet to make an official statement. Does it seem that you guys are both running the affairs of the country, the president, and he's yet to either make an open deliberation on this matter? Does it seem that the government is not concerned about the situation that's happening?
I believe the police director was on the radio this morning. I think he's currently on the radio talking about the incident, and hopefully out of his deliberations, we will all hear what the new processes are for the security of the state. I must say the president is the president, but he's not the IG. He's not the Minister of Defense. He's not the Minister of Justice. People take on these roles, and they must be responsible for the assignments that they have taken, irrespective of what the situation is. And so I'm just adding my voice so that those who are responsible will begin to look at this situation in a very serious light as it is. And I'm happy that the IG is reaching out to people. You know, sometimes in governance, what happens is that you don't reach out, you don't talk to people, you don't let people know what's happening, and just an information session to say, well, this is where we are, we have caught some people, we are looking into this, makes the citizenry calm, because then they know you are working. But if you are just quiet, sometimes it makes people wonder. But it's not the president's responsibility to talk about an incident like this when there are really people who have this responsibility. I am concerned as a female. I know many women have been killed over the past few months. Some of them have had their parts, taken out. And it's a very serious thing for women. So I won't be able to sit as a female vice president looking at what is happening and just remain silent, so that people know that all of us are equally concerned.
If there's no other question, we'd like to thank you for
There is
coming.
another
Madam
question.
Vice President.
Anyone mind taking it?
Go ahead.
Follow up? Okay, go ahead.
So, Madam Vice President, I'll come back to this, my previous question about people making allegations and against people, and whether you believe, despite who's making it or who's been accused, should be investigated. Now, there's this claim by, you may know who, Ellen Coco, in some few interviews she's done live on radio and stuff, she has publicly said your Solicitor General is involved in ritualistic killing. Do you believe he should be investigated?
I believe the Ministry of Justice has a responsibility when these issues come up to look into it. I'm hoping that that is what they are doing. Unfortunately for us, Madam Cochran is not here in Liberia. She sits in America and she makes these claims and counterclaims. But her claims and counterclaims somehow seem to be yielding some of the things that she talked about. So I think everybody needs to look at it carefully and see where we are, and find out who the perpetrators are. This is not political. In Liberia, we have a way of making everything political. This is not a political situation. It's a situation that could affect either of you. It could affect your daughters. It could affect your mothers. It could affect anybody. So I think the media has been doing its part to highlight these issues, and I'm happy that someone would go and see a recording of something like that and post it so that we know how serious the situation is. If it were not for the smartphones that are all over Liberia, maybe we wouldn't know. I believe Liberia's history has been checkered, and there may have been times when this was happening. Nobody will ever find out, because it will be done in a corner somewhere. Nobody will know, maybe except the family. They will cry, they will bury their dead, they will go on. The country has changed, the world has changed. Everything is on the click of a button, right in your hand. So people should know that whatever they are doing, they are being watched. And I think whatever it takes to bring this situation to head should be done. And I just encourage everybody to begin to do so our citizens will know that our government is responsible enough to take care of its people.
Vice President, final word to the, yeah.
Well, I mean, I've said it earlier that this is an alarming situation. I'm adding my voice because of the number of women that have been affected by this, and encouraging our security forces to provide more information, to provide more security in our communities, and to do whatever is needed to bring calm back to the city.
Thank you, gentlemen.